What is up, everyone? I forgot to hit my intro button, intro music button. Oh, man. So, anyway, let's get going here. I hope, let's see here. Got my thing playing in the background here. Why is this not connected here? Connected. All right. Let's see here. Thank you guys for joining up to the show. I appreciate it. Why is this not playing here? Hold on here. Let me make sure this is. Got my stuff discoverable here. Let's see. Connected. All right. All right, hopefully that works there. Let me greet some people here. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Jeff Yu, some of these people was logged in way before. Jeff Yu, thank you so much for checking out the show. Couple of new members of the channel. Amara, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. K Rob, new member. I appreciate that as well. Judy Newman, been a while since we've seen you. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Medina Pullings says it well. A wise woman built her house. Check it out. Okay, well, send that to me. I would definitely try to check it out. Let's see, Rhonda, what is up to you? Dr. Rhonda says, good evening, Dr. Al Chat, and welcome, Kosher Clinician. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Thank you for your membership support. Absolutely, absolutely. So Kosher Clinician is doing some clinical stuff, so he's going to be a little bit late. So we're going to do some warm-up videos. I like to stay on time. I did think about think about pushing back the time, but I said, nah, we're good here. Who else is in the building here? Yoli's in the building. Michael's in the building. Garrett is in the building. Yoli, Miles Bachelor's in the building. Good afternoon, y'all. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. All right, let's do some warm-up videos here. A couple of Instagram videos for us here while we wait for the Kosher Clinician. This one should be an interesting one for us to talk about first, right? This is a guy who was clowning on the quote-unquote passport bros. So we're going to play this here. I'm going to play him. The
niggas that you pray on.
Okay, hold on a second here. Hold on. I do not know what is up with my. I see you there, Garrett. Cuffing season has officially been canceled. I do not know what's up with my audio here. Let me see here. Audio. Default speaker. Realtek default communications. Open run. All right, let's try it again here.
On dumb.
Nope. Technical difficulties. All right, it's telling me it's my Bluetooth is connected here. So why is it not? Is it not going through my? All right.
Ill-equipped women to make your wife. It's not like he's saying, I'm gonna go to Italy, I'm gonna go to France, I'm gonna go to one of these established countries. You're going to a third world country to find a woman that can't tell you what's 2 + 2, and you're gonna bring her back here and treat her like shit for the rest of your life because it's your you want over this woman.
One movie was how Stella got her groove back. And it's the same shit. Oh, I can't do what I need to.
Yo, let him talk.
I don't know where you gonna justify high-earning women going to Jamaica?
How you know they was high earning? Them bitches are CPN.
No, that's high earning. So
A CNA is a high earning job?
yes.
All right, man. All right, man.
Ain't no different than a man going to a third world country and getting a chick that don't speak no English. That's the same equivalency of debauchery.
That's all bullshit, right? Number of women doing that is way less than the niggas that are going over to poor, impoverished countries, snatching a woman away and destroying the rest of her life.
Destroying her life, maybe taking to a better life.
Take away her rights. You can beat on her. You can tell her she has no sexual agency. You can treat her like literal.
Where is this brother getting all this stuff from? I want to play this again here because I was having some audio difficulties here. But I don't know where this brother is getting this information from. We can beat on him, or Passport Bros can beat on him and take him away from their stuff and hide him in basements and all kind of crazy stuff. I don't know where he's talking about here. Let me greet some people before we continue on with this. Men are passing on cuffing season and keeping their money in their pockets. Dr. Thunder, what is good? How you doing? Let's see. He just insulted women in other countries. Yes, he did. He insulted other women in other countries, saying they don't know basic arithmetic. He absolutely insulted them. Well, why do some Americans think third world people are dumb? Listen, this is what this guy is saying, right? Joho, what's up? That's not what debauchery means. Right. All right, we're gonna keep on with this here.
Literal shit. I think she would go back to her country.
But why do we have to do it like that? Maybe I just want to take a good woman and treat her good.
So why you couldn't do that here? Why you specifically went over there?
The same reason Stella went to get her back blown out by Jamaicans.
These bitches.
She didn't go there for that, I don't think.
Finish though.
I never watched the movie.
Listen.
The Passport Bros, the niggas that you prey on dumb, ill-equipped women to make your wife. It's not like he's saying, I'm gonna go to Italy, I'm gonna go to France, I'm gonna go to one of these established countries.
Think about what he's saying there, right? I mean, we talk about colonial thinking. Who's upper class, who is part of the in crowd. This is what this guy is saying. He's saying this. That some places are definitely better than others. Are some places less developed? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that the people from there are slow or naive and all this other kind of stuff, right? This guy is crazy.
You're going to a third world country to find a woman that can't tell you what's 2 + 2, and you're gonna bring her back here and treat her like shit for the rest of your life. Because it's your concubine. You want to treat her like a concubine because you never had no power nowhere else. So now you're going to exert your power over this woman.
The #1 movie was How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And it's the same shit. Oh, I can't do what I need.
Let him talk.
No way you're going to justify high-earning women going to Jamaica.
How you know they was high earning? Some of them bitches are CPN.
No. That's high earning. So
a CNA is a high earning job?
Yes.
All right, man.
Ain't no different than a man going to a third world country and getting a chick that don't speak no English. That's the same equivalency of debauchery.
That's all bullshit, right? Number of women doing that is way less than the niggas that are going over.
How does he know that? And I mean, this is why. How does he know what numbers there are concerning who's doing this? I can tell you, I have friends who did missionary trips to Africa. And when they were there, they met a lot of people from Europe who were going there on missionary trips with these African tribes doing what they're doing. Also going to, so it's not only black women doing this running to Jamaica and other type of stuff. Certainly not all women, obviously all not black, all black women. But this sex tourism thing is a both ways kind of thing. Let's just keep it a buck. It's a both ways kind of thing. And the difference is that Passport Bros, the real official Passport Bros, there's a difference between Passport Bros and sex tourists. Passport Bros are those going looking for wives, going to start families, whether they go there and stay or whether they do bring them back here. That would be a great difference. So this guy is just completely ignorant about what's going on out here. Again, listening to other people, not doing any homework and research. And there's plenty of articles and documentaries about this. So he should have more information than he has right now.
To poor, impoverished countries, snatching a woman away and destroying.
We're kidnapping people now. Well, at least they are. They're kidnapping people, right? What is he talking about?
Destroying the rest of her life.
Destroying her life, maybe taking her to a better life.
Take away her rights. You can beat on her. You can tell her she has no sexual agency. You can treat her like literal shit. I think she would go back to her country.
But why do we have to do it like that? Maybe I just want to take a good woman and treat her good.
So why you couldn't do that here? Why you specifically went over there?
The same reason Stella went to get her back blown out by Jamaicans.
These bitches. She didn't go there for that, I don't think.
I don't think. Finish though. He
haven't watched the movie.
Listen.
The passport.
No, that's enough of that guy. So that's enough of that guy. Let's see. All right, here's another lady. This lady had something interesting to say, I think.
Here's why, as a lawyer, I will never again date a man making significantly less money than me. And this is going to ruffle feathers. Here's why. I would love to believe that men are evolved enough to not attach their entire worth to being able to be a provider for a woman. But frankly, unless they've done years, and I mean years, of deconditioning the patriarchy, the programming that we've all been subjected to, it doesn't happen. Even if they think they are okay with it, at the subconscious level, they're really not, because they're like, okay, if I can't provide for her, then what's my value? They don't understand that their value is way greater than that. It's actually just providing safety for a woman to be able to shine to her full potential. So if there are any kings out there that genuinely get it, I see you, I respect you. But the vast majority of men, even the ones that think that they're okay with it, are not. And what will happen to you is over time, he will, knowingly or not, tank your efforts to succeed and to be more ambitious and all of your goals. And it will take away your sparkle, okay? I've seen this happen time and time again with successful women dating men that don't make as much. At first, they're like this shiny object. It's like, ooh, wow, she's so cool, she's so confident, she's so successful. And then over time, they start to resent that same success that they were so attracted to and start to kind of either energetically or like literally do things to impede your further progress. So it could be as simple as like not helping you with something that like they know how to do that could help progress you forward because they don't want you to be more successful. Or it could look like, just like a feeling of like, they say that they support you, but like your gut tells you like, ugh, this guy doesn't actually want me to win. And you have to trust your gut. Your gut never lies to you. So my advice, if you're in something like that, get out of it as quickly as you can, because it's going to take you a while to recover. And ladies who are single and like haven't found a man that's at their level, keep waiting, because trust me, being with the wrong one is so much worse than continuing to be in your own power and your own shine as a single lady. Follow for more tips.
Follow for more tips. All right, let me take that down and we can talk about that in a little bit there. But Kosher Clinician is in the building. Thank you so much for joining the show there, brother. How you doing?
No doubt, man. Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure to be on the show, man. Once again, bringing to you live from the great state of the Union, Tar Heel State, home of Michael Jordan and the best barbecue in the world, man. So, so it's a pleasure. The pleasure to see you, Dr. L, man. Good to see you, man. Proud to be part of the conversation. And let's get to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't think you said that last time in the best barbecue, man. Did you? Are you taking on Kansas City in Texas, man? You're starting a lot of trouble with these states, man.
Man, listen, man. We got the best barbecue. We got the best of the best in the state of North Carolina, man. Don't get no better than North Carolina, man. One of the fastest growing states in the union, literally. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but anyway.
Yeah, well, okay. So so I just played. So for my audience there, and I want to kind of jump around here a little bit here, but let me focus here. So for my audience here who did not catch you last time, just reintroduce yourself. Besides being from the greatest state in the union, according to you, tell us a little bit about yourself there, man.
Okay, but no doubt, man. So I go by the name the Kosher Clinician on YouTube. Of course, that's not my real government. I'm a licensed clinical therapist in the state of North Carolina. My background is very eclectic. And what I mean by eclectic, I started off in law enforcement back in 1996. I got my associate's degree in law enforcement from Pitt Community College. I worked in the prison system for 2 years as a mental health CO. Did 7 years working with adjudicated youth. It's a place called C.A. Dillon in Butler. Went to North Carolina Central and got my bachelor's degree. Went back to North Carolina Central and got my license in special ed. I taught school for about 5 years. And so I'm well versed in the school to prison pipeline and how it impacts the efficacy of boys. And then I went to the flagship, the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill, where I got my master's degree, man. And I've been in private practice for the last 2 years. The last 2 years I've been in private practice doing my own thing. But prior to that, I was working for different agencies. But I just had an epiphany, man, and I'm like, why am I making other people rich when I can make myself uh, do fairly good? And then I started the YouTube channel, the Kosher Clinician, as a response to the struggles that men have been going through and men are still going through. And the ego defense mechanism behind that is called sublimation. And that's just a fancy way of saying taking something good, bad to turn to something good, something we all do. A lot of men have used sublimation as an ego defense mechanism to change the trajectory based on the struggles they've been through in the past. So that's me in a nutshell. I've been on YouTube for about 4 years. And I look at things through what's called the red pill lens. And red pill just means to see things for what it is. Many times, red pill gets a very negative connotation due to ignorance, but it just means to see things for what it is. And a lot of modern men are beginning to see things for what it is. They're beginning to regain their sovereignty as men and living their lives on their own terms, to say the least.
Now it's interesting. You talk about the red pill space, because I don't know if you saw the video that I played before that last lawyer that I played, but it was the guy who was talking about the passport bros and completely dogging out ladies from other communities, other
Right,
countries, and
right.
their education. Did you see that? I
I,
don't know
I,
if you were
I,
here
didn't,
for
I,
that.
I didn't see it,
Oh,
but I'm not shocked. I was actually in the documentary by Al Grease, man, called Frustrated 3. So if you guys
okay.
get a chance, check that documentary out. Al Grease is a filmmaker out of New York, and I was in Frustrated 3. He started off with Frustrated 1, 2, but I was in Frustrated 3. But I didn't see it, but I'm not shocked, Dr. L. We live in very precarious times, man, very dangerous times, very strange times, and it appears the heteronormative masculinity is still under attack. And I think a lot of men are beginning to slowly reclaim their power back by being indifferent, but also exercising their options.
So the brother on there was what we would call blue pill because he was
Hmm.
saying, why are you leaving? Do this here. Obviously, downgrading, denigrating the ladies from other cultures,
Right,
and so just flesh out the blue pill, red pill. I'm sure that most of my viewers have watched it, but just give us an understanding and how that
right,
guy. I know you didn't watch it, but how he would
right,
fall
right.
into the blue pill category.
So the blue pill accepts the status quo. It accepts things for what it is. The blue pill more or less is like being in a mental comatose of accepting things for what it is, not seeing the current realities for what it is as well. People that are blue pill tend to not want to face reality. They tend to be caught up in dream world or caught up in what's called a fantasy world or a comatose state where they think things are kosher, but things are not actually kosher. The red pill assesses things uh, now based on reality. It gets out of that mental comatose based on what we thought things were in the past. And now it begins to see things for what it is as it relates to the world. And then you can do one or two things once you take the red pill. Once you take it, you can never go back. You can either see the world for what it is, which is red pill, or go back into that mental comatose because of what's called normacy bias. And normacy bias is basically says, um, I'd rather stay in delusion than to face reality and adjust and see the world for what it is and live out my life into perpetuity.
Very good, very good. Are you seeing this in your own personal practice where guys are struggling with the red pill versus blue pill, the normalcy bias versus, doing something different? Are you seeing that?
Yeah. I do see it a lot, man. And it's highly problematic because what's happened, Dr. L, in the last couple of years, I'm not saying these women are narcissistic, meaning they have a diagnostic criteria or criterion, but they do have a lot of narcissistic traits when they tend to their um, put their needs above the man. And so I always look at things through the lens of theology, and I think theology more or less is more red pill than any other book. The scripture is clear about the role of men. The scripture said that the woman was made for man, not man for woman. And also in the book of Matthew, it said that the bride prepared herself for the bridegroom. But many times, men that are blue pill, uh, they see their wives as being the exemplars to everything. They see their masculinity and their values seen through the lens of a woman instead of being seen through the lens of principle and seen through the lens of how God sees them. And because of that, many times they compromise their power, they compromise their masculinity, they compromise their physical health, they compromise their mental health, they compromise their financial health. And when you take all those three correlating variables and you comprise them together, it leads to what's called death. And so when I started this channel years ago, I said that a broken man is a hopeless man. A hopeless man is dangerous. And you know, you're going to laugh at this. I made a joke, Dr. L. You know, I jokingly said, look, man, I'm trying to take y'all to Carolina, man. I'm trying to take y'all to UNC Chapel Hill. Trying to take y'all to one of the Blue Bloods, man. But you know, once I start giving them the red pill truth about the realities of masculinity, how they need to start demanding better, you know how the guys go to the portal. They say after 3 more sessions, after 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, they say after careful consideration. I literally had a guy say this. I decided to forego my last 4 sessions and go back to 7U, which is blue pill. They go back to 7U, which is blue pill. I'm trying to take them to Man U, but they go back to 7U, which is blue pill, man. Because they don't want to face the reality. It's more comfortable living in dysfunction than affirming your masculinity and standing in the new of now.
Okay, so you got to help me out with this, brother. So these brothers that you are working with in a clinical manner, which are saying to you out loud, out their mouths, that the information that you're giving them is too hard, too tough, and they want to go back to the red pill space or go back to the blue pill thinking.
Right.
Because what's the reason for that? Is it just normal for them? Is it just they don't want to rock the boat? They want to make sure that mama is happy, make sure that their woman in their life is happy. What's up with that?
All of the above. It's all of the above. Because you know, one of the things that men struggle with in therapy is something called intellectualization, where they try to intellectualize the issues that are going on, which is it could be seen as a maladaptive ego defense mechanism to some degree, or they try to rationalize it. And so when you use what's called Socratic questioning, you know, Socratic questioning gets them to think about their cognitive distortions and things that they're thinking about. And when you try to get them to look into the cognitive distortions that they're seeing, many times they are so ingratiated into gynocratic thought or thinking based on pleasing women that if they come out of that comatose, then they think they're doing something aversive to a woman. One of the biggest things you'll see now that people use the word out of context, they say he's controlling or he's a dictator. These are all negative connotations that are used to suppress true masculinity. Listen, in any situation, there's a such thing called healthy control, and then there's a such thing called abusive control. A father or a man needs healthy control in the relationship to regulate the household. But a lot of times these men, they have become so mentally subjugated by the whims of the women in their lives. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to stand on business. You can show them all the evidence, but they'll rather stay slaves. You know, remember, Harriet Tubman said it better than me. She said, I could have freed a lot more if they didn't already know they were slaves. But they'd rather be slaves than be free men. They'd rather stay in that mental comatose instead of demanding change, demanding and knowing what their value is, and being in a relationship where the man benefits and also the woman benefits. A healthy relationship as it relates to what's called behavior modification is when you benefit and she benefit. I mean, you know, Teddy Pendergrass was the first psychologist back in the 70s. He said it's good to love somebody and somebody to love you back. But these men are not getting love. They're literally living in a mental comatose, suffering in silence. I've had situations and conversations with men, Dr. L, where men have told me where it's come down to sexist relationships. One gentleman told me he hadn't had sex in 9 years. The gentleman that went to 7U hadn't had sex in 4 years. The worst case was a gentleman I met at the bar, a white guy, big time, making big money in real estate. He said he hadn't had sex in 10 years. And then in the worst case, he hadn't had sex with his wife in 20 years. And they would rather suffer in silence and get caught up in the status quo instead of start demanding change if they're doing the requisite things like being good fathers and good husbands. And many times they are. But they see things through the lens of a woman's feelings instead of standing on masculine principles and masculine virtues. And that's why this conversation is so weird to people, because they've never heard men speak with authority and speaking what they really believe in. And part of the problem is men. I don't really blame the women as much as I blame the men, because God told the man to lead. He didn't tell the woman to lead over him. He told her to lead her. But I don't blame the women as much as I blame the men, because when you know better, you should do better. But many times they don't do any better. They continue to be in that mental comatose because it's easier to be in the status quo than to stand up and do what's right. And some of it is because they got children and houses and they got investments, and they don't know how they're going to be impacted psychologically. But you're still a slave. You know, if you get rid of that woman or come up with a contingency plan, you can move on with your life. You might can't move away right away, but you can move on at some point. But I'm a firm believer that women want men to be men. You know, they might say one thing, but I think women internally or unconsciously want a man to be a man, to say the least.
To say the least. And I was going to say, some of the reasons has to be that they don't want to lose access to their kids and access to their money, to their finances that they built up. And I've seen situations like that. I've gone, my years in the PD, I would go into different people's houses. They're living in completely separate bedrooms and stuff, right? And so, I was like floored at this. Like, what is even the point of this? And I know other people who were in sexless marriages for 20 years. One guy had a 16-year-old kid, and he hadn't touched her since the first time that they did it. She just wasn't she just wasn't into sex like that, and she just didn't want to do it. And so guys they do suffer in silence because of that. So
right, and it's abuse. It's psychological abuse. It's neglect. And all of that, Dr. L, can lead to a condition called a term that I coined called affection deprivation. A lot of men are suffering from affection deprivation. They're suffering from affection deprivation. And that in itself can lead to high cortisol levels, which can impact a man's weight, how much weight he gains. That stress can lead to low testosterone. It can lead to increased risk of heart attacks, strokes, and all of that. Like right now, I got to get myself in shape. I mean, I need to drop about 50 pounds, man. I need to start going to bed early. I need to start doing a lot of different things myself based on my last health report. I mean, it's not that I'm doing nothing wrong. I try to walk, but I would never be in a relationship for 20 years if I'm not getting no cat. That would never be me. That would never be me. Because if you don't feel like giving me your body, I don't feel like paying bills. I don't feel like paying these bills. I'm not. Yeah, it won't be me, man. It would never be me.
Garrett's asking a question, Kosher. Can you remind us of what God said about how men should react to wicked and contentious women? I believe there were several scriptures about it.
Well, that's an excellent question. How to react to wicked and contentious women? Well, the first thing, like the prophet Jehu did, he confronted Jezebel. A lot of men have the spirit of Ahab. Ahab was a cream puff. Ahab was blue pill. He didn't speak truth to power. But Jehu confronted Jezebel. You had to confront bad behavior. One of the monikers, Dr. L, that people have said in the past, the only way for evil to proliferate is for men to stand back and do nothing. So if you don't do anything, then the evil continues to proliferate. I like what the framers of the Constitution or the Freedom Riders said back in the past: "Give me liberty or give me death." And there becomes a point in your life you say, you know what? I'd rather be free than continue to be a slave. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired in order for change to take place. There's an old saying that says that change takes place when the pain of your current situation right now is greater than the act of change itself. Once you become sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, then that's when change will take place. But watch this. Change takes place in stages. And similar to with substance use or substance abuse: pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, maintenance, and then the last stage is relapse. But you got to be ready to change in order to go to the next stage of your life. And some men are not ready to change. They'll rather stay in that mental comatose. And what they don't understand is this. The more you don't stand on business as a man, that woman continues to lose respect for you. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that creation is yearning for the sons of God to manifest themselves in the earth. Women actually are waiting for men to be masculine men and stand on business. Meaning you respect her as a woman, but you don't let her feelings supersede your masculinity. We won't put on this earth to appease a woman's emotions 100% all the time. I had a situation with a couple last night. Her husband was trying to talk with her from his love language, but she was trying to internalize it based on how she saw from her love language. And so I told her, I said, you can't, your husband is not responsible for your happiness, and neither are you responsible for his happiness. There got to be a compromise where you both can meet each other where you all are at and build on that. But a lot of times with this Disney princess fairy tale mentality, which is predicated in entitlement and delusion, they think that a man's job is to appease them all the time, minimize his needs, and always satiate her fickle whim, or more or less compromise his masculine integrity to make her happy. That's a very parasitic relationship. In a relationship should be symbiotic. A symbiotic is no different than what's called a symbiotic or a synergistic relationship, where they both benefit. I benefit, you benefit, but not. But there ain't gonna be no benefit where my cortisol levels are going up, my testosterone levels are going down, and I can never make you happy. And so part of it, I blame the men. It becomes a point of, man, you got to stand on business. You got to start saying, either you're gonna start doing it, or there are gonna be consequences. It's literally that simple.
But men aren't prepared for the consequences. How do you prepare men for the consequences? I.e., not seeing your kids consistently, losing half your stuff, moving out of your house. It's the consequences that you got to mentally get men to be prepared for, and
Well,
hopefully. I
right.
mean, that's the
Good
worst
question.
case
Good
scenario,
question. Good
right?
question.
That's
Right. Yes, sir.
that's obviously the worst case scenario. The best
Mhm.
case scenario is that they'll do what you're asking for.
Well, listen, that's an excellent question. I think men can be systematic about it, Dr. L. I think they can be very strategic. Once again, the behavior modification, you got to slowly take things away. You don't tell her what you're gonna do overnight. You just slowly start cutting back. Let's say you went to the restaurants and went to five-star restaurants. You bought the food. I don't feel like doing it, baby. I ain't got the money. I'm not doing that. I don't feel like doing it. Or she might say, you got money for this, or you got money for hair or nails. No, no, I just finished paying the bill. I ain't got it, baby. I'm sorry. And start pulling away or becoming more indifferent. You pull away or become indifferent, or you start rewarding bad behavior, and then systematically start planning for your escape route if things don't change. I don't think men should divorce their wives unequivocable, but look at the many times the men have tried to labor with their wives, giving them opportunities to get it right, and they don't get it right. Because many times in these relationships now, Dr. Ill, the women that come in these relationships, they see these men not as the men that they really wanted, but he was just, he was just a safe guy on the back end. And so they get with a guy, and that's not really the man she wanted, but she settled because she realized she didn't have a lot of options.
Man, I want to explore that a little bit there. So let's talk about this Disney delusion that you mentioned before.
Mhm.
Disney delusion that's going on with ladies. What are you seeing in your practice? Have you experienced this? Are you seeing this? What are your thoughts about how ladies have
Right,
developed this craziness here?
right. Excellent question. So I think a lot of it, Dr. L, is probably threefold. Some of it is social media. Social media has given women, uh, um, you know, these proclivities to think that they are better because men are in their DMs, and men are telling them they are beautiful. How you doing, queen? You're a goddess. Social media definitely have exacerbated narcissism. Um, I think men being raised in single parent homes, sadly, to some degree, have played a role in this Princess Fairy nonsense, where men tend to internalize based on what their mothers say and think. In the clinical world, we call it an ego defense mechanism called introjection. Introjection means the boy introjects the talking points of the mother. He introjects, therefore he identifies. He internalizes, therefore he identifies. And if he see anything outside of that worldview, then he projects in anger because that's not what he's used to. So that's number two. But here's another one, Dr. L, I think that's very dangerous that a lot of men are not careful. A lot of men are what's called dad girls. And the dad girl phenomenon is when the dad teaches the daughter that I got three daughters, but I tell my girls all the time, listen, you're gonna earn whatever you get. I love you. Uh, I'm gonna take care of you, but these dad girls a lot of times make their daughters princesses without accountability, and then when it comes down to getting married to a man, uh, they don't see anything outside their feelings because the father was not consistent in what being a dad girl is. It's one thing to be a dad girl where the dad is constantly placating to the whims of the daughter, and then there's another thing to be a girl dad where she venerates and respect her father, men, and masculinity, and then the dad more or less on the back end corrals his daughter with love, support, and attention, and more or less holding her accountable when she's bad. But a lot of times these dad girls develop what's called the princess complex, where they see themselves as the princess. I'm special, and the world revolves around me without any consequences or consideration for the feelings of a man.
Mm. Yeah, you're really saying something here. I wanted to highlight something by uh, Garrett, and his overall point here with this particular statement is, what in modern times are men getting in these times, right? So you said you had 3 girls. You have any sons? Do you have any sons?
I have no sons, man. I wish I had one, but no, I don't have no sons.
So what would you tell a son, your son, nephew,
Mm-hmm.
cousin, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
concerning what's going on these days in these times, right? We're talking about wrestling with masculinity, wrestling inside the relationship versus this Disney princess delusion that's going on. What does the man get if he enters into these types of relationships?
Most men in modern times get nothing. I mean, they get nothing but a headache, low T, and a lot of stress, and getting half of their ish taken. That's what they get, nothing. Because let me tell you something. My mom passed away, Dr. L, back in May. It was one of the most painful things in my life, man, when my mom passed. I really haven't had time to fully grieve the death of my mom. But my mom was a virgin when my dad married her back in the past. She was a virgin. My grandma was a virgin. She didn't have kids. She was mostly wife ready. Now, my dad compromised his masculinity sometimes because my mom was spoiled. But that's what men got. That was the gold standard back then, Dr. L. Virgin, no kids, wife ready. And those women got with average, hardworking men. That was the gold standard back in the day in the country. Now, we know that there are situations where there were women that had kids, but you saw more of that than less of that in where I'm from, in the rural eastern part of North Carolina. Now, I raised my daughters to be chaste. As far as I know, I got a daughter that's a junior in college, and she's still a virgin. Pretty, cute. My baby girl's still a virgin, as far as I know. She's an AB student, both of them good students. My oldest one, if she want one, I know she had little bodies. She rebelled a little bit because I'm a strong man, but most men are not getting anything. Nothing. They're not. Listen, I don't care if women say what they want in a relationship. A woman got a right to say, I want a man to be X, Y, Z. That's a woman's right. But men got rights and needs too. And so, what would I tell my son if he was trying to get a wife in modern times in relationships? This is what I would tell him. I would tell him that he should love the Lord, his God, with all his heart, mind, soul, body, and strength. That's number one. I would tell him that he cannot go into a relationship until he curate and determine what relationships, what his values are. Many men, Dr. L, now don't have a value pathway. We call that value clarification. And I tell my clients in practice all the time that your values is your mental compass. Your values is your mental compass, and your boundaries is your ship. Many times, me and myself included, we tend to minimize our boundaries and our values for the sake of peace, but that causes a lot of problems. The third thing I would tell my son is that he put his purpose above everything. Nothing supersedes his purpose. It's God, his purpose, and then his woman, because his woman was made to support him. And so if a woman is being a man's cheerleader and supporting him and helping him meet his mission, that woman will automatically be successful and great. She's going to be successful and great because what I've learned also, Dr. L, in relationships, human beings by nature want to take the path of least resistance. You don't change behavior by placating to bad behavior. But in relationships where you make a woman earn that relationship, then she'll respect you more, especially if you are her select choice. But the problem now, you got a lot of women coming into relationships with men that they're not that man's select choice. They got a lot of unresolved trauma. And by the time they get with that man, you know, he's just a holdover, a placard, until she get tired and she's ready to divorce him and move on to the next man. So number one, put God first, put his purpose second, affirm his values, and also stand on masculine principles and virtues and be unwavering in his convictions and confront bad behavior. Don't run away from it, confront it, and more or less establish your paradigm, establish your kingdom rules before you start any relationship with a woman. That's what I would tell my son.
You said something pretty good there, that men should make a woman prove that they're worthy. I think a lot of men are trying to prove to the woman that you're worthy.
Exactly.
There's this thing. I just had the conversation with my daughter. She just left right now.
Mhm.
But we were out for lunch today, and we were talking about this whole 50-50 conversation, and between who pays the bills and this, that, and the other. And it seems as though the guy a lot of times feels that he has to kick out a whole bunch of money in order to prove that he deserves to be with you.
Right.
And somebody else put in the comments earlier about chasing a woman is is like chasing an empty bank account or something like that. So
Right.
so I mean, so a lot of guys are stepping right, the flowers, the gifts, the constant accolades that you have to do, and in particular, like you said, now with social media, right, you got to do extra and above because she's got so many other people waiting and chomping at the bits to slide into her DMs.
Right.
So guys are constantly trying to do more.
Yes, sir. Right.
And that's taken away from their masculinity, correct?
Yes, sir. And so the way you know how you counterbalance that, you ready? You be that one less. be that one less. And don't more or less affirm her fickle whims, because when you be that one less and you be different than the men that are groveling and on their knees worshiping her, she's gonna see something different in you. She's gonna be attracted to that masculinity. She's gonna be attracted to that masculinity. So you be that one less. The problem is a lot of men lack discipline in being that one less, and they don't know what their value is because they've never been in situations where the world has told them what their value is until they travel abroad, until they see how men in patriarchal cultures are being treated. Men in other countries are not treated like men in the West. Men in the West are treated as less than, unless you're in the top 20%. But the average guy don't stand a chance. That's why they go into relationships compromising their power and not knowing what their value and their worth is. A woman's greatest fear is for a man to come into the knowledge of what his worth and value is. That's her greatest fear.
Man, that's saying something. Shout out to you, Gregory Scotland. Salute to Dr. L and Kosher. It's past time of continuing to try to appeal to incorrigible females. Black men must set the standard, and if a woman doesn't like it, then too bad.
Right. It's true.
Yeah. This is a tough sell for a lot of people, and I wish that you would have seen. Matter of fact, I'm going to play it for you because I know you didn't see it. I know the audience has watched this already, but okay. I want you to hear what this brother is saying about the passport bros. Let me pull it up here.
Yes, sir.
The passport bros, the niggas that you prey on dumb, ill-equipped women to make your wife. It's not like he's saying, I'm gonna go to Italy, I'm gonna go to France, I'm gonna go to one of these established countries. You're going to a third world country to find a woman that can't tell you what's 2 + 2, and you're gonna bring her back here and treat her like shit for the rest of your life because it's your concubine. You want to treat her like a concubine because you never had no power nowhere else. So now you're gonna exert your power over this woman.
The #1 movie was How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and it's the same shit. Oh, I can't do what I need.
Let him talk.
No way you're gonna justify high-earning women going to Jamaica.
How do you know they was high earning? Some of them bitches are CPN.
No, that's high earning. So
a CNA is a high earning job?
Yes.
All right, man. All right, man.
Ain't no different than a man going to a third world country and getting a chick that don't speak no English. That's the same equivalency of debauchery.
That's all bullshit, right? Number of women doing that is way less than the niggas that are going over to poor, impoverished countries, snatching a woman away and destroying the rest of her life.
Destroying her life, maybe taking to a better life.
Take away her rights. You can beat on her. You can tell her she has no sexual agency. You can treat her like literal shit. I think she would go back to her country.
But why do we have to do it like that? Maybe I just want to take a good woman and treat her good.
So why you couldn't do that here? Why you specifically went over there?
The same reason Stella went to get her back blown out by Jamaicans.
These bitches. She didn't go there for that, I don't think.
Finish though. He
never watched the movie.
Listen,
the passport bros, the niggas.
That's that. Give us your thoughts about that.
Or a gynocratic center. He probably is a victim of projection. His daddy probably left him. He over-identifies with women, and he's trying to tell men how to be men. You know what I find so baffling, man, is that they always look at things from the least common denominator. Not understanding that when men travel, men can actually be exploited when they travel abroad by going into what's called tourist areas or whatever. Men can be exploited, but they don't look at it from this lens. Most men, they like to use the terminology tricks, but most men in America are practicing what's called a culture-rated prostitution. They're going to expensive dates with the hope that they're going to get intimacy for a woman, and many times it never happened if he's not her choice selection. I heard somebody tell me one time, Dr. L, that the foreign whore is better than the average American woman because at least the foreign whore can give you a girlfriend experience. But when it comes down to men doing what they want to do is always a problem. Many say it's not a problem to black men do it. It's not a problem to black men do it. So it's a gynocrat. He has, this man has what's called gynocratic thinking. He probably was raised by his mom, or he's just hating and projecting out of anger based on what he's been conditioned to do. Because a lot of men are doing this out of negative socialization and social conditioning. And because I don't believe in men telling men what they should do with their penis. If women can say my body, my choice, a man can say his penis, his choice. And I'm not saying that, I agree with men doing that per se, but that's between them and God. I don't police men and what they do with their money or what they do with their phallus. That's between them and the creator. I don't, but it's only black men in America when people can tell black men how to operate and do things based on what they deem to be necessary. It's only black men in America that get those kinds of stigmas, man. So it's just projection of hate due to ignorance because they always, once again, look at the least common denominator. And many foreigners see it as offensive because a lot of those women are not poor and not educated. Are there in some third world countries poverty areas? Sure. But to falsely equivocate all women in third world countries as being poor and illiterate and can't think, that's a great misnomer or a fallacy to say the least.
Kenneth Young says we need to be raising girls to be virgins until marriage. The 304 culture is destroying this country. Is that even possible anymore?
No, listen, I call it the hope-apocalypse, man. The hope-apocalypse. It ain't nothing you can do, bro. And it's gone, man. It's gonna take a de-evolution, man. Listen. One of the reasons why guys, show love and marinate or serenaded girls back in the '90s when you and I were teenagers, or even further back, it was a different grading of women. They weren't perfect, but they were better than this current class of women. And you go even further back, those women were better women too. The men were simp to some degree. If you look at all the songs from the 60s, the 70s, men professing their love to women. Some women did it too. They were simping. But I had a friend of mine, Dr. L, and you're going to laugh at this. He said that black women haven't said they're sorry since Anita Baker made that song called I Apologize back in '89, back in the '90s. They say sisters ain't said they sorry since 1989 or '90 when Anita Baker made the song I Apologize. And I laughed at it. So because a lot of times people just don't have self-reflection. But back to the God, man, it's just the culture that we live in, man. Black men can't have agency to live their lives out on their own terms. And the world hates it when black men have options because they want black men to be their own subjugates, to be their own surrogates, or like this man said, concubines. Well, happy wife, happy life means I want a man to serve me and worship me. And he don't get anything in return because I think by default that I'm better than him.
Yeah, expand upon that happy life, happy wife thing. There's a couple more people that joined. Jen Will joined. Greetings to you. My man Anthony has joined. Happy wife, happy life. I mean, that's got to be a throwback to when guys had no power or just did everything that mama told them to do, simping all over her. It's just created such a crazy nonsense that we just saw in that particular video. And guys are just slow to wake up.
It's funny you asked that question because I had a family member of mine and he called the woman in the family boss lady. You got these goofy men going to relationships calling their wives boss lady. I do. I got to do what boss lady. Like I remember one old big simp. He said, "Well, I ain't gonna say nothing because my wife gonna get scared." I don't care if my wife do get scared. I'm gonna love my wife, but she get wrong, she can get this work. I don't care who it is. I mean, I ain't gonna disrespect her, but I'm not gonna be in my house. I'm tap dancing and bojangling and being scared. And happy wife, happy life is actually a form of not only female manipulation, but it's control. But the same people that tell you, I don't want a man controlling me, they don't say nothing about happy wife, happy life. Happy life, happy life is a form of control that makes a man subjugated to the whims of the woman, which basically says, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to be a dictator over this cat. You're not getting any cat, or you're not going to get anything from me until you do what I say. And I'm not going to be in a relationship like that where you use your body and weaponize sex to dictate the terms of the relationship. And the more men placate to that, internally the woman loses respect for him. She'll tolerate him, but she won't respect him because now she's leading him instead of him leading her.
So you've been married for 20 plus years, right? Correct?
Yes, sir. 20 plus, right.
And I have come to the realization, let me know your thoughts, I could be way off,
Right.
that marriage is, at least how it's done in the US, I should say, marriage done in the US is really geared towards the woman and making sure that she remains somehow empowered, that she becomes that boss lady.
Yes,
And if
right.
you don't do what she says or act accordingly, then she's, as you mentioned, holding the cat hostage,
right,
and whatever. So, how does a man, and this is what we want to get into the crux of this conversation here, how does a man maintain his masculinity, maintain his presence, his leadership, his role, and not be subject to that? Because I have said, why sign this contract? Why sign this contract if I'm going to be subject to your whims, and if I don't do everything you want me to do when you want me to do it, then you're going to shut off the spigot, if you will.
Well, excellent question once again. Well, let's go back to what I said earlier. Number one, if you look at things through the lens of theology is clear about the role of men and women. God is fair. He talks about men loving their wives, putting their lives on the line for their wife. But the Gospels never told the woman to love the man, because women tend to be very solipsistic in nature. But it did tell the man to love the woman. But he told the woman the dirty word that went out of the lexicon in marriage is to obey your husbands. That's fighting words for a lot of women. Back in the day, that was just normal, because see, when women in other cultures, Dr. L, come into relationships, they're mentally preparing themselves to respect and honor their husbands. Obedience is a duality that both men and women do. They both do it, but men and women do it different. Obedience to her means to love her, die for her, and protect her. Obedience to her means to honor him and more or less regulate her emotions for the greater good of that relationship. A wise woman builds her house, but a foolish woman tears it down. So back to what you said earlier. You stand on the principles and the virtues of God. You have an ironclad understanding of what your core values are and your boundaries. Before you get married, you have a proviso written that's clear and it's in writing. If you withhold sex from me, no, I'm dead serious. You laughing? I'm dead serious, bro.
You gonna get this in writing?
Listen. He over there laughing. Listen, Doc. Listen. You ever heard the old moniker, Dr. L, and love and war, all is fair and game?
Okay.
And it got to be in writing. Listen. Women only respect power and strength. That's what I've learned in 29 years, and also what I've seen in practice. They only respect power and strength. Women respect power and they respect strength. You have to put it in writing to make it effective. That's part of the marriage contract. These are my expectations before I say I do and give you my last name. She can have her proviso in writing too. It's no problem. She can have her proviso as well. But the biggest problem that I see in relationships now is a lack of emotional regulation. They lack emotional regulation. They don't know how to self-soothe or regulate their emotions, because many of them are emotionally immature. It's always about what I want, my feelings, and the hell with what you want. And many don't see humanity in men and the needs of men. They just see them as sometimes it's an accessory or a means to an end. So you have to put it in writing. Here are my boundaries. Here's my value system. I value intimacy. Therefore, my boundary is, if you use sex as a weapon, then I might warn you one time. The second time, then we might have to start talking about maybe temporary separating till things get right. Or more or less, before you go into that relationship, make sure you have an exit strategy already in place in case she pulled the mask off. Because a lot of them pull the mask off once you say I do. Once you say I do, she got you, because the state doesn't benefit men in marriage. And let me tell you something. I'm not against marriage. I think marriage is one of the biggest things in the world. But I think blessings in the world. But men need to go in marriage being rational and standing in power, instead of more or less going on the fickle emotion called love. And I'm going to say something that's highly controversial. I don't believe that men should fall in love. I believe men should love within reason. But I don't believe that men should fall in love with women. When you fall in love, it makes you extremely vulnerable. You can love your woman, But you're gonna love your woman to the point that you lose your sight of your masculinity and lose sight of your purpose. And that's what happens to a lot of men that leads them to go through what's called an existentialist crisis, to say the least.
Yeah, that's an excellent point about going through the existential crisis there. Let me play another video here, and this woman says men only get married for one reason. Get your thoughts about this.
Okay.
Y'all make sure you hit the like button out there.
When a man wants to get married, he's only getting married truly for one reason. Because let me be honest with you women, the men can work and provide for themselves. He doesn't need your salary like that. He does not necessarily need you to cook, clean, and have sex, because he can get sex from multiple women. They're giving it out. A lot of them can cook and clean. Their mother taught them, or they can pay someone to get it. So why would a man decide to have a wife? Because with a wife, you can now have love, you can now have nurturing, you can have support, you can have affection. This is what he's supposed to be able to get from a wife. So if that is not what you're leading with in your relationships with men, this is why they are not as attracted to you. When a man...
Get your thoughts about that.
Yeah, man. True raw femininity, man, is what I call an elixir. It's like an aphrodisiac, man. And I'm not talking about this fake femininity where women just put on the front just to get a man, and then they change once you say I do. But men are like lowercase gods, lowercase g's. As I said earlier, men need affection, just like God needs to be venerated. Men need to be lifted up. Let's go back in time. I like to use music because I think music tells a story when it relates to therapy a lot of times. You remember the song that Teddy Pendergrass made back in the 70s, Dr. L? He said, "You keep on lifting me higher." He was talking about the song, the Mona Lisa. He said that you're the Mona Lisa. He said, "You're my latest inspiration." You remember that song that Teddy Pendergrass made?
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, he kept saying, "You keep on lifting me higher." And he was basically saying that the woman complimented his masculinity because she was constantly venerating him and praising him. And when women venerate men, men become like lowercase gods. No different than what's said in theology. If I be lifted up, I draw men unto me. Well, when you lift a man up, it motivates a man to be successful. It motivates him to go harder in the pain for his woman. It motivates him to be greater for his woman. It helps him live longer. And so the lady is correct. If I was a single man, again, I don't need a woman to cook for me. I can order meals. I don't need it to clean for me. I can do it myself. I really don't need any. If it came down to cat, I mean, I'm not advocating fornicating, but I'm sure I can get my share of cat. Being 6'5", I get my share of cat. I make good money. So what we look for is love, respect, companionship, and a woman that has good energy, and a woman that can make my life easier. Men lives are hard. We die earlier than women do. And so the last thing that a man needs is a woman that's stressing him out and causing him to be in a state of despair or distress, to say the least.
Man, there's so many great points that you brought up. Let me get to some comments here.
Did you get the videos, Doctor, that I sent you also?
I did. I couldn't. You had a video playing about there was a viral video about an older lady saying that that the women had gone bad.
Right.
And I can't play it. I can't play it.
I don't know if I can. Maybe I can. I got you. I'll do it for you. I'll pull it up for you, Doc.
All right. So that was that one. So I couldn't. It's not playing on my side.
I got
it keeps telling me that the link isn't working. I can play it on my phone, but I can't play it on the computer for whatever reason.
I'll fix it, man. I'll fix it for you, bro.
All right, my man Anthony's saying, I think women forgot what the Bible says. It says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, not the other way around. But she has to make sure she's wife material. A lot of these guys are running into women who are just not wife material. I know we want to talk about masculinity today, but but there's certainly a dearth of readily available women, right? I think Gregory Scotland also gave me another $5 here. Appreciate that. Big Bird was leading these anti-passport bros with her save the community black man BS. I don't know who Big Bird is. But I assume.
It was the content creator. Her and I had beef. I call him Big Bird, man. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So she wanted the brothers not to go anywhere, but stick around. And I dropped a video about this earlier today. And it was most of the comments were pretty positive, but one lady was like, "Oh no, that's not what she's saying. You guys got to stick around and this, that, and the other, right? So stick around here, keep being simps, keep in the environment, marry these women who are coming, with extra baggage and all. And listen, we all got stuff. We're all a little bit older. I'm not saying anything about that, but as for a younger guy in his 20s or 30s, right? Does he have to accept this type of bag? And this is hard to hear. And this is where the guy from the Passport Bros video, or at least he was disrespecting the Passport Bros, because he's saying the guys are saying, I'm not finding what I'm looking for here. There could be a lot of different things about that.
Right.
A lot of different reasons for that, but they're going other places where they can find it, where the women seem to be more plentiful, and they're not finding it here.
Yes,
And
sir.
and I think that is something that women have to address. I talk to other content created ladies, and I talk to them about that all the time. You guys got to be stronger in this. I don't know what can be done. I don't know what can be done, in all honesty.
A lot can be done, brother. What can be done is to stand on business as men, and be indifferent till you get what you want. There was a song, I think it was Kenny Rogers or Kenny Logan made the song back in the 70s. He said, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You better use your power as a man. Listen, men are the arbiters to relationships, and women are not. Women are the gatekeepers to sex. Men are the arbiters to relationships. And I'm gonna prove my point. A woman that's a one, if she want to get married, can't marry that man that's a one unless that man consent to marry her. I did a show with Anita back in the past, and I'm thinking about writing a book at some point. I think I'm gonna do it sooner than later, called Black Love Without Consent. The biggest problem in America is that we have not consented to ask men what they want. The world have already told men what women want, but nobody's asked men what they want. Woman was made for man, man wasn't made for woman. And that's when I came to my realization a couple of years ago. I said, hold up. According to theology, I'm the first fruit of God's creation. He made me first. He made her to love me and to serve me. And then on the back end, I die for her and protect her like Christ did for the church. And so I realized that was a stark contradiction to what many churches were teaching. And so instead of seeing things for what it was by living in that mental comatose, now I see things for what it is. I'm not coming into a relationship being a hostage to a woman's emotions. I'm gonna lay my blueprint out. This is what I expect. She can either consent or she can say I'm not doing that, and that's fine. That's her right. But this fallacy that the woman is the prize by default is a high misnomer. She's not the prize by default. Men and women both have prize-worthy virtues. I created the term, Dr. Ill, that you probably a lot of folks never heard of. But I said the man is the prize catcher. The man is the master prize, and she is the special prize or his special prize. The prize catcher, more or less, when it comes down to a woman, he sees that woman as his prize. She's bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. And then once that man consummate the relationship, now she see that man as her catch. So the man is the hunter, he's the prize catcher. But here in America, women distinct by default, just because they got a cat, they're special. And men that have higher thinking and higher frequency is not mesmerized by that, because there was a time that vagina was more, it was highly valued, but it's not as valuable as it used to be. It doesn't mean that men don't want it, but it don't have the value that it did maybe 50 to 100 years ago, because women have given their value away for free to certain types of men. And men are saying, listen, I'm not paying full price for something that's been severely used.
Severely used.
Severely used. in the country, we call it plowshed. Plowshed in the country, man.
Wow, severely. So I wanted to, some men go to the gym to build strength, but lack a backbone. Speak to the brothers out there about that, because a lot of brothers are still simping. A lot of brothers don't understand this. A lot of brothers are still going to fall around. They're going to pay the OnlyFans models. They're going to pay for this, take women on dates and not expect or get anything in return. Allow themselves to be in the friend zone. I constantly dump on guys about that. Speak to these brothers out there about building a backbone.
Well, you build a backbone by knowing what your power is. You build a backbone by knowing what your power is. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier in the show. You've done the work, meaning you've been to therapy. And I will argue they probably need to come to a heteronormative masculine therapist like myself. You formulate what your values is, or you clarify what your values are. You understand how important, how power works in relationships, and then you move accordingly. Women, there is a subset of women that's waiting for men to be men. They're waiting. The woman is waiting. Listen, why do you think women now are going to these dating events and no men are showing up? If they had all this power, why can't they get men to come to these events? But they can't, because men are becoming indifferent. The opposite of hate is indifferent. A lot of men are just indifferent now for a myriad of reasons. Some don't have the money. Some are not being validated, and some just don't care. I will argue that we were the last generation that serenaded women and courted women and took women on dates. Gen X men were. I think we were the last of that generation. Would you not agree?
I would agree. I would agree. Yeah.
Right. So the way you handle that is by, once again, you have to fortify your value system and be unwavering in your convictions as it relates to your value system. And you tell that woman, under no certain terms, if you don't give me what I want, then you're not getting what you want. That's how men operated back in the day. My dad is 82 years old, and my dad said he wouldn't even deal with some of the women there. My dad is 82, a country boy. He didn't finish high school, but he said that he wouldn't deal with a lot of these women now.
Man, it's crazy because, like I said, you've been married for 29 years. You got an 82-year-old father who sees this. You sent me the video, and I'm sure other people have seen the viral video of the older grandmother in the kitchen telling her young daughter or granddaughter, whoever she was, that the women have gone bad. And it's really just a phenomenon for these older folks to look back and be able to see it and be like, what has happened to our children, to our generation, to this next generation, and how did this happen? Of course, we elaborated on that about social media, etc., and I definitely agree with you. But it's become a thing. Let me play another video here while you're looking for that here. Let me stop this screen share and put this video up. And here's a young brother in his car making a video about men response to viral topic about why they are no longer obsessed with women.
That's what it's like they used to be no more. What's going on? Then, they throw out the G word. They must be the G word. And it's like, nah, like, really make this shit make sense. Like, why the fuck I'm about to be obsessed over some shit that when it leave me or it's gone, like, I'm going to feel a sense of relief. Like, y'all really bring no value to a man's life to the point where it's like, when you leave me, only thing you was doing was subtracting from me. So now when you leave, I can finally build and put pieces together. Why would I be obsessed with losing something that was draining me? I'm not about to be obsessed with that. You ain't doing nothing. Back in the day, when a man lost a woman, she provided so much value that it's like, damn, I gotta figure it out. This shit is crazy. Like, shorty did A, B, C, da-da-da-da-da. Now it's like, only thing y'all do is look cute. Only thing y'all do is look beautiful. That's it. No patience, no loyalty, no value other than the face. And then be like, I'm not obsessed with that. That shit is everywhere. If I know only thing I'm getting from being with you is a crazy, weird attitude and a pretty face, then it's not going to be hard for me to forget that. Females like.
That's what that brother had to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, men are choosing peace. I did a show a while ago, and I found it. I'm gonna send it to you in a minute. But they're just choosing peace. Dr. L. Once again, men are gonna have to be the one to turn this thing around if they choose to turn it around. I don't think it's gonna be turned around in our lifetime because things have gotten precipitously worse. But men are gonna have to be the one to turn it around. And the way you turn it around is by not participating. That's how you turn it around. You just don't participate. You take your ball and you go home and say, "This is what I want." Because you got the buyer, then you got the seller. We know there's a subset of women that don't want to get married, and that's fine. We're not talking about those that don't want to get married. They got their careers and they got their doctorates and their masters and their bachelors. We're not talking about them.
I've been meaning to clip that. I've been meaning to clip that. I'm a PhD. I've been meaning to clip
I'm
that.
a PhD. Yeah. I'm a PhD. Like that's what men don't care about your doctorate now. Like the chick, that was in my opinion denigrating black men, talking about being unequally yoked. Well, a lot of these women are not equally yoked to men Because if you're saying that because equally yoked had nothing to do with your social status. Equally yoked was about your spiritual faith. In the South, Dr. L, there were a lot of black men that sent their wives to college while they worked the farms in North Carolina in the South, man, and also in Georgia and Mississippi. They sent their women to college. And I know it's true in North Carolina because North Carolina had the highest number of HBCUs. We got at least 13 HBCUs here in the state of North Carolina, the highest number in the South. So a lot of, did that not make them equally yoked when these black men were sending their wives to college back in the day, denying themselves and denying their sovereignty as men to send her to college? Black men, I think I was listening to your podcast the other day about how black men weren't allowed to read first. They were allowed to read first. But now you think it's a flex because you got a doctorate? Your doctorate does not equivocate to you being a woman or a woman of feminine virtue. Your doctorate doesn't make a man's penis get hard. Your doctorate doesn't bring him peace. Yeah, that doctorate doesn't bring him peace. That doctorate doesn't help him make wealth. That's your doctorate. But what can you give me outside of yourself? And that's the problem with a lot of modern women. They're very solipsistic. And solipsism is a philosophy that says nothing outside of self matters. They can't think outside of themselves. And that's why I said that there was a time where black women, in my opinion, they were the greatest women ever. There was no woman greater than the American black woman, in my opinion. She was resilient. She was beautiful. She wasn't doing what white women were doing. She was respectful. She was God-fearing. But Big Mama is gone. Them days are gone. They ain't never coming back no more. They're not coming back. It's over. Because you can't take new wine, Doc, and put it into old wineskin. You can't take a new concept and put it into something broken. That's systems theory. So it's at a point now where men are saying, okay, I don't care anymore. Because you're not going to dictate to me what my worth is as a man. You will either become what I need you to become, or you can be by yourself. Because see, watch this. The feminine is always being. The masculine, Dr. L, is doing. The scripture said that the bride, she prepared herself for the bridegroom. She was waiting to be betrothed by the man. She understood that she had to have emotional regulation in order to be a wife. Most modern women don't have emotional regulation because many struggle with narcissistic traits. They don't have emotional regulation. They only think about what's best for them. They're cold-blooded. They're heartless. But if they really knew that their true superpower was them being a genuine feminine woman, that man would give her the world. Because men still love black women. Black men still love black women, but black men are saying, we're not going to tolerate the BS. And the Sims going to always tolerate the BS. But masculine black men that know what their value is, they're not going to tolerate the BS. We're not going to let a woman dictate to us what our worth is as a man by saying you got to have a doctorate, something that's irrelevant. And, like I said before in the past, a lot of these chicks, they're not going to elite schools, man. I went to an elite school. I went to an Ivy League adjacent school. They go into Chicken George State University, a lot of them, man. Chicken George State University, man. You look at the schools, and the schools are lower tier schools, man. But all of a sudden you want to flex because you got your doctorate. But then when you ask them what them bodies look like, they get offended. How many bodies you have? Because see, once again, she can have her values and standards, but men can't have their standards. Because the standard for a man back in the past, if a woman wanted all bills paid for, she had to be a virgin, she was wife ready, and she didn't have any kids. I'm not saying a woman can't be a decent woman if she got a child, but if I was a single man with no kids, I'm not marrying a woman with kids. And I'm going to ask that you meet my standard as a man. And if she can't meet it, then I'm going to keep it moving. But of course, when men say that we're narcissistic. Men can't have standards. If a man has standards, he's a narcissist. If a woman has standards, that's her preference. You see that crazy dichotomy?
I'm going to put, speaking of this, let me play another video here.
I found it, Doc.
All right, let me play this one and then we'll get to yours.
Okay, cool.
This one is just going along with what we were saying here about, the priorities here. And this particular young lady just doesn't get it. This lady just doesn't get it.
30-year-old single black female prioritizing gut health and protein intake. I can squat 250. I've written 2 books and speak 3 different languages. In the last 6 months alone, I've created 4 different applications and 2 different programs across the iOS platform.
Sounds like you're a dude, because you just gave an entire laundry list of things that not one singular guy on the planet gives a fuck about. These are all things that a woman wants to hear from a guy. I don't want to ask my girl, hey, let's go to dinner tonight. And she's like, no, I'm coding my app.
Maybe your standards are just too high. I'm a 30-year-old single black female prioritizing gut health and protein intake. I can squat 250. I've written 2 books and speak 3 different languages. In the last 6 months alone, I've created 4 different applications and 2 different programs across the iOS platform.
Sounds like you're a dude.
Well,
I have never been on a date and asked a woman how much can she squat. But, I mean,
exactly, because what she's selling is social market value. She's selling her social market value, but she's not selling to a man's sexual market value. See, women think that social market value is symmetrical to sexual market value, but it's not. Listen, a woman can have a lot of men, been a lot of men that ran through, and to a masculine man like yourself or me, she can't be my wife. I don't even look at her. I remember a time when we were in school, Doc. I don't know about you being in Connecticut, but in North Carolina, if women got pregnant, had kids out of wedlock, dudes, we didn't even look at them. You know, like they say in the prison, they fool, man. You know, that's what they say in the prison. They fool. We didn't even look at them. I'm not saying that a woman can't have redemption, but my point is, baby mama culture wasn't venerated back in the past.
Yeah.
But they falsely equivocate sexual market value with social market value. And so they think, okay, I got my doctorate, my master's, they say with emphasis to flex, my bachelor's, I got a car. They think, oh, that makes you special. It doesn't make you special to a man, because we don't care about stuff like that. What we care about, emotional regulation, low body count to virgin, men that don't have kids, no kids. You can be my moral cheerleader. You understand the assignment, and we build a legacy together and grow old together. That would be ideal for the average man. But a lot of men are not getting that. They settle for mediocrity because they don't know what their worth is. And this conundrum continues to go over and over and over again because men have not been adequately taught how to stand on business as men. Once again, I didn't start getting what I wanted out of my relationship until I started demanding things. Once I understood what the scripture said, I realized, and I've always been a fiery person, but now, I run things. I'm not saying it's been easy. It ain't been easy. And there have been times. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to the degree that you feel comfortable, because you've been married for so long, 29 years, walk us through that about how you begin to exert yourself because you weren't getting what you needed. At one time, obviously, you're in a relationship. I'm assuming it's the same relationship. You weren't getting something. If I'm not, just correct me. But you weren't getting what you were looking for, needing, desiring, and then how you turn that around. I think a lot of men need to know how you turn that around.
Well, that's a good question. So without divulging too much, I would say that I just started demanding more. I started reflecting on what my worth is. I knew she knew what my worth was. And I began to vocalize what I wanted. And I was blunt. I was brutally blunt many times. Sometimes I would say, if you don't step it up, I mean, you're free to leave. Because I'm not being arrogant, but I say I'm a 5-star recruit. I know what my worth is. I'm a 5-star player, man. I didn't go to Chicken George Steak. So once I get out on the free market out here, I'm a 5-star recruit. And so once you know what your worth is, you don't tolerate BS. Because a lot of times they know what your worth is. By word or deed, they know what your worth is. And I started getting the results that I wanted because I started demanding more. And I'm not saying that there are not things that, after 29 years, that you still don't struggle with, but I'm just blunt. Men got to start being blunt and being brutally honest. This is what I want. Right.
How does a man figure out his worth? I mean, besides not going to Chicken George State University, how does a man figure out his own worth in this market here? How does he figure that out? How would you say that a man figures that out?
Well, that's an excellent question. But number one, his worth has already been determined, predestined by God. God said that man was the first fruit of his creation. And then he gets with a cadre of other men that tells him what his worth is. I was listening to your podcast and you were talking about how men would galvanize one another. Iron sharp as iron. And so men build their net worth and they build their self-esteem by galvanizing one another from other men. And then he look at all the things and all the things that he's done in the past that would suggest that he's a higher tier man based on his worth. Because listen, I'm not saying that money alone makes a man a high value man. It's part of it, but it's not money alone doesn't make a man a high value man. But it is part of it. But it's his character. It's his determination, his ability to get things done. and his ability, and also his values based on his ability to speak truth to power. Women respect men that tell it like it is. They don't like it, but they'll respect them more than a man smiling in their face and telling them what they want to hear. Theology said that open rebuke is better than secret love. And so that's how men know what their power, their value is. God tells a man what his power is. Galvanization from other men dictates his power. And his social network and the things he's done more or less codifies what his value is. And then having that internal, that je ne sais quoi, that masculine allure, being highly esteemed by other men and getting attention from other women, that tells that man what his power, what his value is. And even if he was a janitor or drove a truck, he still is valuable in the sight of the Most High. His occupation does not diminish how God see him in the kingdom of heaven.
Anthony says, standards are for men they don't like but will tolerate. And this is what I'm trying to convey to a lot of men, that if a woman is trying to circle back to you when she's got a couple kids, couple potties, we have all been through stuff. I'm not saying, don't have fun or enjoy yourself, but if you're looking for something, and you overlook me, and you overlook not me, Lawrence, but just overlook a guy, and you run around with these pookies, and you're getting broke off and all the other stuff, right? And then you want to go back to the nice guy. Men should feel a certain way about that. Men should feel it because you will lower your standard for somebody who's less than. And this goes out to what Waterman also says. I figured out my worth when I saw what they're accepting. They're accepting that from these dudes. You at work and he's driving your car around. He's coming home bringing babies to you. He's putting his hands on you. All this other stuff, right? And then you want to set a standard for me?
Right. But that goes back to taxation without representation. That goes back to a term I created called tax. Well, I didn't create the term taxation without representation, but I use it within the contextual framework of modern dating. Men are being taxed to the same standards of yesterday without being represented like their fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers were. Taxation without representation. Mike Jones said back then she didn't want me, now I'm hot, she all on me. Men shouldn't deal with it. They shouldn't tolerate it.
That was a bar.
That was a
bar by
yeah.
Mike Jones.
yeah. Back then she didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. Listen, I remember one time, Dr. L, when I went back to homecoming, man. Back in 2010, man. It was my. I came out of high school in '90. I think it was 90. Let me see, what's 90? Yeah, it was 2000. That was like 10 years. And so I saw this chick, man. She was sort of cute in high school, but she put on a lot of weight. And she said, "Are you happy?" Happy? What are you talking about? She said, I liked it to you. Oh, no, you didn't like it to me, sweetie. You didn't like it to me. She said, I liked it to you. No, you didn't like it to me, sweetie. If you didn't like me back in the day, you don't like me now. Because I don't want you and your baggage and your trauma from the men that ran through you. I don't want you for my wife. I wouldn't even look at you. For my woman, I wouldn't. Men got to be the arbiters and start standing up for what they want in relationship. They won't change until men start demanding more, and more or less until we continue to have these conversations that we're having now, and more or less get back to how men will more or less come together and galvanize one another. Men are the arbiters of their own fate. And women are actually waiting for men to be men again, in spite of many times her desires and whims to be emotional and to control the conversation.
Very good. You got that video?
Yes, sir. I got it. Hold tight. I'm going to pull it up.
To help me find a husband. It ain't the oldest, it ain't the youngest. It's the treatment. Mm-hmm. It's not the oldest, Amber. It's not the good looking one, Amber. It's not the one got money, Amber. It's the one honest. And not too many of them honest nowadays. It's some good men out there. But what it is now, it's the women. It ain't the men no more. The women going bad. The women's going bad. It ain't the men's now. It's the women done gone bad. You gonna flip the script on us? Yeah, it's the women done gone bad. You a woman yourself. I'm a woman myself, but I don't do half the things I see these women do now. They don't care no more. Cause that's when the men don't respect them. That's why. Let me tell you something, Amber. You got to give a man respect to get respect. You know what I'm saying? You got to give your husband respect to get respect.
Most men in this room and most online will tell you that all of their life, they have been the last thing to be considered. Everything comes before man. We even got statements like, ladies first, happy wife. And even parents teach their sons, let them go first. And so in every step of his life, he's always last. Women get in the club for free. Now we got to buy bottles at $1,500 a pop so all of the women can drink for free. Remember when I read the text didn't say we were made for y'all. The Bible says she was made for him. And by the way, if you go and look in the Old Testament, whenever a man and woman was married in the Old Testament, a woman stood at the altar and the man walked down the aisle. But now here comes, if you don't believe me, the church is the bride and Jesus is the groom. And the last I saw, the church is here waiting on the groom to come. So if you want us to love you like God loved the church, why are we always doing the waiting?
Children learn how to treat their
All right, so I might have to clip all that out. I don't know about the music.
Yeah, the music may or may not hit you. I don't know. It may.
It comes and goes there.
Right.
So, but I wanted to. Well, I watched the video, the first one there with the
old lady,
with the senior lady there.
Right.
What I never noticed before, and I just watched it. I just noticed it just now, is that the daughter or granddaughter, whoever she was filming while the grandmother's doing what? Putting away the dishes and whatnot.
Yes,
that tells you right there that there's something that's changed, and she didn't even recognize it. But go ahead. What do you want to?
No. You're correct. I'm disagreeing with you. No, you're fine, man. I mean, I agree with you 100%. And if an elder's saying that the women there are different, does that mean she's a male identified or she hate black women or her mama's black? Did you notice the girl said that when you're a woman, they value being a woman over serving men? That's why I say a lot of times there's a percentage of black women that see themselves outside of the black community. They think their feelings, their needs, and their wants supersede the black collective. That's why we can't have black love anymore, because they put their needs and wants above the black collective, which in essence is causing the issues that we're having now and this so-called once thriving black community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you seem to be. Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the change that's going to come? I mean, I know you want men to step up and kind of take back their power and stand on business, but you think this can change?
I'm neither. I'm realistic.
Okay.
And when you're realistic, you don't see it as good or bad. You just see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And once you see it for what it is, we've reached a crescendo, man. It's over.
I've noticed a lot of. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just noticed a lot of doubling down, because guys are saying what they want, right? Because we're acknowledging that men have, never gotten their message out about what they want, because I think it's been fairly simple. But women have always, been the ones to express, I need love, attention, roses, etc. And the guys have been reluctant to do that. So, do you think it'll help if more guys are out there saying, here's what I need, here's what I want?
But they've been saying it. But every time they say it, they're shamed back into silence. They'll say they're sassy, you're misogynistic, so they just stop saying it. Because every
You're
time
right
men
about
say
that.
Yeah.
You're right about that they will say that they're sassy and, what happened to real strong men and how come you guys aren't out there, right? There's been some videos made, guys ought to spend a certain amount of time in jail. You got to work your way out, all kind of crazy nonsense.
And they call a man sassy about the L actually is very disrespectful, because basically what you're saying is that what you think about a man matters more than what that man thinks about himself. Imagine a generation of men talking to them men, calling them sassy, like they're a child. You call a child sassy. It's almost like by default she puts herself in a power position. But they won't say that to African men from Ghana, Nigeria. They won't tell those men they won't get the men faces over there. They won't get the men faces in some of these South American countries, because I don't believe in it. It's wrong, but femicide is real in Latin America. I saw it. I've known cases of femicide, and I'm not advocating violence by no means. But my point is, in those countries, they respect their men because they need their men, and those men don't tolerate the BS that we tolerate here in America as black men.
Yeah, well, I think the whole thing about needing a man is key, and I want to kind of end off on this point.
Right.
You know, Kevin Samuel said it. You know, he got obviously got the saying from Game of Thrones. We talk about winter is coming. We talk about needing men, and all that. And you know, when I continue to think about can it be changed, I definitely think that environment dictates reactions and actions, and as long as the environment is allowing this type of foolishness, we're going to continue to get it. But as we know, winter is coming. As far
It's
as
here.
financially,
It's already here.
it's already here, right? With the scale backs of SNAP benefits, etc. I mean, is that going to change certain different people's attitude? Even if they cut back on student loans, not that many people will become PhDs.
Yeah. So what is the question? You think all the radical changes that are brewing? Are you asking me if that will cause things to become more normal again? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. If the environment changes, right, the SNAP benefits dissipate, more ladies are laid off because of AI, and I'm not advocating for any of this. I'm just saying that this could be something that would drive us back together again, because I think that a lot of men are looking out, as we have agreed vastly, that the men are looking out at this plethora of women that are available and saying, I don't want this product. I don't want this product for various number of reasons.
Yes, sir.
And so if the environment changes the product, will it drive us back together?
Well, let's say the environment changed the product. The product really isn't changed. You know, Corey Holcomb said you can't delete the skeet. So I mean, you know, the damage is done. You know, if you think about the song back in the day, say after the love is gone. I mean, okay, so let's say the environment changes the behavior. Is it genuine or is it from a survival response?
Right.
Good times make soft men, but hard times make good women, or good men and women. But once again, let's say if society does change, what are they getting? They still are not getting what your granddad got in Connecticut and what my granddad got. My granddad got a virgin. He got a white
But they
woman with a
might.
white friend.
Well, I mean, but they might make.
That's true. You're right. You're right. That's a good point. The newer crop of women coming out, maybe. My daughter is still like that, you know, but I don't know how many. Like, there's a new generation of women that's saying, you know, I'm going to save myself, and they're trying to go back to tradition. So you're correct. There's a newer generation like Gen Z that's trying to go back to traditionalism. So that's possible.
Yeah.
The older heads like you and I, Gen X, it's over, man.
Man, I don't want to hear that. And I never thought, and I heard the sayings about the, you know, hard times make soft men and all. I've heard that before, but I never thought about hard times make soft women or cooperative women or whatever you say. You know, the hard times.
Right.
I never thought about that. But that's an excellent point.
When I was in Dominican Republic, because it is third world, you know, in certain parts, and some of the countries are developing countries, they value their men. They value their men because, number one, they need their men for survival. That's number one. But number two, the beauty density. The women there are so gorgeous. Women abroad, man, I don't know if you're in a relationship, but man, if you go abroad, man, you won't see the world the same again. You remember that song when we were, I think Curtis Blow made the song, Dr. L, when you and I were boys back in the 90s or the 80s, said, so fine, blow my mind. It'll blow your mind with the level of beauty abroad, man. A woman that's a 7 or 8 in America, she's probably a 5 or 4 abroad. And I'm not saying that to be mean and condescending, but the level of beauty density, and I'm not saying we don't have some beautiful women in America, because we do, but the level of beauty density abroad, man, is spellbounding, man. You will, I promise you, brother, you will lose your mind. Your testosterone levels will go up, your cortisol levels will go down. You laugh, you think I'm joking? I'm dead serious, man.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've done my fair share of traveling, so I'll leave it there. So
you know what I'm talking about. Traveling abroad is a natural aphrodisiac. It brings a man vitality back. I've heard men, Dr. Elder, said they thought they had erectile dysfunction when they were in America, but when they went abroad, like the Bible said in the book of Ezekiel, can these dry bones live? You know, they were ready to go, man. They were full flag, man, when they went abroad, man. They were invigorated, and their masculinity came back, man. Stress will kill a man's testosterone levels, man.
Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right about that. That's another reason I keep talking about it, but eventually I'm out of here, man. I'm trying to leave within the next year.
Oh,
Um,
really? Really?
yeah. I'm making plan. I'm doing some stuff for some, I'm finishing up some stuff for some lawyers, and once I finish that up, hopefully I'll be done by now the spring. Hopefully, that's all done, I'm leaving. Yeah. I want better food. And mostly for the food. I'm not leaving for the women. I just want a better food, nicer environment. Seriously, I don't want all the chemicals in our food and stuff. I'm
Right,
serious
right.
about that.
Respect,
I
respect, respect.
really, yeah. I mean, looking at pretty ladies will be nice. I'm not saying that, but I just really want something different here.
Right,
I also have my mother to consider. She's getting a little up there in age too, so
right.
there's a lot I got to consider. Um, so the Jen Will says the women that men are seeking are not online dating or in the bars. They're at home on Friday night watching me or true crime. So we got to get the ladies out there, and we'll leave it off with here. I know we talked mostly
Right,
about men and masculinity, and I
right.
appreciate that. But there are some good women out there,
I believe that. Yeah,
and
I do.
we gotta. And what would you say to help them be found? I mean, they're not online dating. What would you say to them to help them to be found?
They got to start speaking out. Number one, they got to start forming coalitions. They got to call out the behavior that they see, and then they got to start putting themselves in positions where they can get the kind of men that they desire.
Putting themselves in places where they desire. Okay.
So
I
they can
got
get
you,
the men
brother.
that they desire. Right. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, go on. No, you're good. So all right. So what let's leave it out there, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. What do you tell us about your channel, where we can get it at? What else you got going on? You got
No doubt. So my channel is the Kosher Clinician. The 7 in Hebrew means complete. It's called the Skava, the Sheva. That's what it says in Hebrew. So I came up with the Kosher Clinician because I said there are 7 steps to male optimization: family, faith, female psychology, finances, politics, male mental health, male physical health. Once a man becomes kosher, he becomes optimized. He becomes able to see the world for what it is, and he becomes a quintessential example of what true masculinity is once he meets those 7 principles. So that's how I came up with that concept. Divine completion, like my man Indigo Flow was saying. If a man can cross to all those 7 steps, man, he's kosher. He'll never see the
very,
world the same again, man.
very good, very good. So Rhonda says, so basically go outside. This is an excellent point as to where they meet these types of men. And you know, that's something we really got to work on, where we can meet these people, because bars, clubs, and you don't want any scene to become seedy or just some dating hookup spot. But these are for serious people who want serious relationships. So that's probably something that needs to be worked on, where we can meet one another, and for serious long lasting relationships.
Yeah, they can create apps. Um, Create platforms, But see, Dr. Before I let you go, I know you got to go. Many men are very reluctant to be vulnerable to modern women because they don't know if it's genuine or not. They don't know if they're doing it out of need versus true, genuine love. And so a lot of men say, I'm good. They just saying, I'm good, man. Um, she's talking about, she said, long can be found outside the divorce court. Y'all is right. She's right
Just
about
go out
that.
there and just wait. Wear high heels outside divorce court. You be all set.
But I think once they get divorced, man, I don't think they want to get married again, bro. Once they get a divorce, what a great divorce is. That's when you get divorced in latter years, man. You lose everything you got. Most men say, nah, man, I'm good, man. Most guys, after they get a divorce, man, they like, I'm good, man. I'm not doing it again.
You run into that a lot into your practice? A lot of guys who say, I'm not going to do it again?
I haven't. Okay. I got maybe one now that's saying that if things don't go well, he said, but not, he didn't say he's not doing it again, but he's on the verge of getting a divorce if things don't go the way he expects them to go. And I've heard men after they got divorced to say they're not doing it again because they feel like that that the system doesn't benefit them, man. It doesn't benefit them. Let me ask you the question: what do men get in modern times by marrying modern women? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. What do they get?
Oh, listen, I agree with what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult. I have a son who's in his late 20s, who's thinking about it, talking about it, wants to start a family and all that. He's obviously in his 29. None of his friends, to my knowledge, are married. I think he has one cousin. I mean, you know, you and I have grown up. We went to weddings all the time. I think my kids have been between the two of them. I've been to. I think they've been to one wedding. I think it's the picture that's behind me somewhere. That was the one wedding they both been to in their life. And you know, for an older guy, I had the lead attorney on TLA, the lead attorney on,
Right.
and you know, we struggled. He gave me his spiel, but I'm like, I'm just not buying it. Just not buying. You know, I'm not buying that an older guy in my age group, I would say 45 and up. What's the reason? I have my kids. I have a house. I'm financially good. You know, I'm not rich or anything, but I got a pension. I've got a few savings, as my grandmother would say. I got a few dollars, whatever.
$2, right?
And you know, why should I get married and get the state involved? And that's the thing. I definitely want one person to be with. I definitely want that. But why should I risk, you know? And then, you know, the lead attorney was talking about getting a prenup and this and that. I don't want the state involved. I just that's what I'm not buying. So do I want a one monogamous relationship? Yes, I definitely want that. I don't want to be running around. I'm an old man now. I'm 52. I just want one person to have a nice life with, whether we live together or not. And now I'm single. I'm living good. I'm like, do I really want to? Do I really want to?
You love your peace, man. You know, shout out to my homeboy, Peaceful Life. You know, he always talk about peace and freedom. Him and I, we chop it up as boys all the time and talk about this, man. But I will say this: like, I got a daughter. She's a junior in college. She'll be a senior next year. You know, she ain't been ran through. As far as I know, she's still a virgin. You know, sometime, man. You know, I said, look, man, I got a good daughter. That's looking. She's been raised right. She's been trained to be a wife. We link kids with other people that have similar value systems, man. That's how we do it. We find similar people like they did back in the past, and they might say, Dr. L is good folk. His people good folk. They meet each other. They see if they got compatibility. They hook up. They form a long lasting relationship. Because yeah, go ahead.
That's what's missing, though, right? That's what we're missing, right? Whether it's through the church, you know, mutual friends, right? Because we're just so atomized, and so, you know, so it's hard to meet that person through that cordial connection. And if you can't meet that, you know, if you can't meet that connection, if you can't meet each other through that connection, you're meeting someone in real life, right? And then you're going to be standoffish anyway. But now you're really, you know, doubly kind of standoffish, because does this person have my best interest? Are they really do they really like me? Or they really involved with their ex somehow, right? All this other stuff that we got to think about before we really make some type of long lasting commitment to someone.
Yeah. But I do believe with the power of technology, man, we still can foster good relationships by, you know, suggesting what I talked about, man. You know, and you know, like folks did years ago, saying, look, I know a good woman. She's made good choices. Because listen, if you can get a woman that's a virgin, I know some men don't want women are virgins. I don't know why, because I would want one. But if you can get a woman that
you would want one, or you
yes,
would,
sir, I would.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I would want if I was single. I mean, you know, ideal would be a virgin that's wife ready, and you know, she's been raised right. Yeah, because you know, I want to be the maestro. I want to be the one to play them heartstrings, man. You know, I want to be the one, like John Lennon said, the best you ever had. You know, that's the Leo in me. But a virgin to low bodies. I never understood why men don't. I think men should value a woman that's a virgin. I'm not saying a woman that's had a few bodies is not a bad person either. But a virgin to low bodies, in my opinion, is ideal.
Yeah,
that's ideal.
Well, I think the big thing is, certainly someone who has not, you know, you want to walk through the mall or go through a fair and realize that, you know, everybody in there hasn't ridden the same ride.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, there really is something to that. There really is.
Yeah. Can you imagine, man? I went to Connecticut. Man, I went to Hartford, man. I don't know where you live at, but let's say you live in Hartford, or Middletown. I think it's called Middletown. And you walking at the mall, and they say, "Yo, B, that's you." You're like, "What are you talking about, man? That's you, man." Shit, man. When she was at UConn, man, the whole frat hit that. Men don't want that for their wives, man. That's embarrassing.
Men don't want that for their wives.
That's very embarrassing and very disrespectful. And we know that most of them are gonna lie about it anyway, which makes it even more deleterious. And so when a man see a woman A man want to see a woman that's something he can look up to, something he can see her as being special. You know, men venerated women back in the past, Dr. L, because women had more emotional regulation and they valued themselves better. And when they valued themselves better, men valued the product better. But the product now has been devalued, and now they still want the same. They want the same love and demerits of a woman of the past, but they don't have that same value. And I created a term called hoflation. And hoflation basically say, uh, I'm gonna keep the price high like it was in the past, but the value has been greatly diminished. And that's why I said, whenever I write this book, Black Love Without Consent, we got to get back to asking men what they want. We just live in a world where it's what she wants, her needs, and her wants, and men got to start saying, "Nah, you don't qualify. I'm sorry, you just don't qualify for me. I know what I want. I don't care about your doctorate. I don't care about your master's. I don't care about your bachelor's because your femininity is whack. Your femininity is not on par. You don't compete with the things that I want as a man." And a lot of men are saying, "You know what? If you can't meet me and give me what I want as a man, I'm good." Because at the end of the day, Dr. L, men determine who women marry. Men are the gatekeepers to marriage. Women are the sex. A one can only marry a one unless that woman, or that woman that's a one can only get that man as a one unless that man say, I do. She can't get married unless that man decides to marry her, in a nutshell. I know you got one more.
Yeah. Let me read these all off. Amara's a new member. Appreciate you. K Rob is a new member. Greg Scotland with the $10 before. Appreciate that. $5 also after that. And Usuma Abdu says, lending support to Dr. L. You are one of the more pragmatic and honest brothers in the Black ministry, keep the positive vibes. I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I am going to try. I really, really appreciate that, man. But it's, there's a lot of work to be done. And I really want to save the community, man. But, what you were just talking about there, Kosher, is, a difficult task to get through. Is ladies have, unfortunately, fallen for some type of programming and thinking that the same, as we talked about before, same mating strategies that they employ are going to work on men. Right. And we haven't said anything. We kind of made fun. Not that we're making fun of women with doctors. Certainly, I think women who are educated are sexy. I absolutely think that. Right. But that doesn't preclude me from wanting my woman to be able to know how to cook, and clean, and take care of a house and be nurturing. Right. I mean,
Not wrong with the doctor, but the doctor is at the bottom. What's at the top is femininity, cooperation, fit, emotional regulation, low bodies, and knowing and understanding and emotional maturity, and not putting your needs above the needs of the man, not making it always about you. Because one of the things I hear women complain about, think about your grandmom, Dr. L, or your great grandma, if you remember her. Women didn't have the appliances that men had back in the past. They didn't have convection ovens. I just bought my wife a Breville, man. I paid about $400 for that thing, man. It's a convection oven and an air fryer. They didn't have that. They didn't have. I just kicked out $1,600 getting a Speed Queen dryer. I kicked out another $1,500 2 years ago. Almost over $3,000 in appliances. Almost four in appliances. They didn't have nowhere near the modern appliances women have now. But just like you said with the old woman, what was she doing? She was washing dishes. She wasn't complaining about it because she saw marriage as duty. So they have a lot more now, but they complain more. They say, I work, so he got to do X, Y, Z. Well, I said, well, ma'am, listen, you worked before you got married. You cleaned your house before you had a man or a boyfriend. You cooked for yourself and you were smart before you got a man. So what's different now that you got one more person? And so it's always these excuses instead of coming into a relationship willing to serve one another. Men are expected to put their lives on the line, but women think it makes them a slave by saying, I'm trying to serve a man. In relationships, according to Dr. Gottman, the Gottman method, he said that you got to have what's called compromise. If you're not willing to compromise, you can't have intimacy, man. You can't have intimacy without compromise. And that's the problem with a lot of relationships now. They don't want to compromise, man. Don't want to compromise. And many are dealing with trauma from a lot of bad relationships in the past, man. They're having a hard time getting rid of the imprint of the men they dealt with in the past. And people don't believe that the imprint is real, but it's real, man. That the male imprint on a woman's brain and body is real. They'll get with a man but they will always remember that man that imprinted them the most.
Mm. Now that's
You know,
something else we got to deal with. That's something else a man's got to deal with, right? He got to struggle with that. He got to undo the imprinting, undo that, right? And
oh
that's
yeah. If she went to Connecticut State or a UConn man, and what's the guy with the big head name? I can't think of his name. Or Kemba Walker blew her back out, or the Hamilton guy, man. You know, he blew her back out and gave her mind screaming orgasms. And just say you're an average lover in the bed, because they did a study, Dr. L, that said that 33% of men are virgins. That man can't compete with that. He can't compete with that. He can't compete with that. How he can compete with an athlete that blew her back out, and he just an average love? He can't compete with that, and that's why a lot of these marriages are ending in divorce, because they get bored fast because they had so much fun in their younger years.
man. That's a whole word, man. That
That's a
really
whole
needs
word. Yeah.
that really needs to be broken down for these ladies. That really needs to be understood, because we talked about it before, right?
Right.
Men don't want high bodies, but
Right.
when we had the science behind it now, saying
Right. And there's a new term, Dr. L, called chimerism. Are you familiar with that? A chimera. That means she got, a chimera is like a half horse and a half goat. That's where the term comes, like a centaur. A chimera means they got the DNA of two different species. And some of these women out here raging, man, and crashing out and mad and angry and screaming and hollering, they've been imprinted. They've been imprinted by Day Day and Raekwon, Man. They've been severely imprinted. And they're projecting in anger because they falsely equivocate all men to that one man that hurt her the most. That's why some of these chicks are crazy, man, because she's been severely imprinted by another man, and now she's been traumatized by it, and now she's falsely blaming all black men for that one or two men that hurt her, and now you got to deal with her broken things. You got to pay for something you ain't had nothing to do with. You got to pay for it. And so men are saying, you know what, man, I'm good, man. I'm not gonna pay for what this man. I didn't mess your mind up. You chose to give your virtue away. But ask yourself the question, Doc: how is it that women pre the sexual revolution could stay married, had a lower education, and understood the importance of maintaining their virtue, but women now that got PhDs and masters and bachelors don't understand that giving your virtue away greatly devalues you as a woman. And they'll say 100% all the time, Dr. L, when men do it. Well, men and women are not the same. That's number one. Number two, there's a term I created called the penetration principle. The penetration principle is totally different for men than it is for women. Here's my point. Did you not know, Dr. L, that there's a percentage of women that are millennials, I believe, that have been with women? There is a lot of bi-curiosity in a lot of modern women that they've slept with women before. A lot of women can some men can look past that. Some men can, some men can't. But on the flip side, if a woman found out that her man had been penetrated by another man, she'll never be with him. She can't be with him because see, women by nature, Dr. L, want to look up to a man. You're about 6 feet, I'm 6'5". By nature, a woman want to look up to a man. She can't look up to a man if in her mind that man was on his knees. He wasn't praying, he was on his knees. You're right.
Jeez.
She can't look up to him. No, I'm just being honest. And so conversely, Dr. L, because of the penetration principle, a man can't respect and value that woman because in his mind she's been penetrated and she's been conquered by multiple men. So her virtue is gone. I mean, it don't mean she's a bad person. She got high social market status. She might got her doctorate, her master's, and her bachelor's. High house. She got, okay, fine, you got that. But what men want the most, you don't have it. Your virtue is gone. And so when these women come and flex and talk about they got their doctorate, men don't care about your doctorate, man. What does them bodies look like? Do you have emotional regulation? Are you dealing with unresolved trauma that you're projecting to other men? And so when men tell them that, then they say, oh, you sassy. Who hurt you? Your mama black, goofy stuff. But your daddy's black too, ma'am. Your daddy is black. So we're not going to get back to how things were until men start setting the bar high. What you and I are doing, they're having these conversations, men galvanizing these young boys and telling them to raise the bar and not being afraid to have the conversation and not being afraid to worry about her crocodile tears or her calling you, using controlling emotional manipulation, sassy, which is highly disrespectful, insecure. They always say you're insecure. and controlling. Those are all ways to control and manipulate a man and shame that man out of his value. Because they say, well, you're just insecure because, ma'am, I am insecure. You're right, I am insecure. I don't feel secure putting my phallus where 100 men have been at. So if that makes me insecure, yes, I'm insecure. Whatever they call you, you say, yes, I am. I'm insecure and all of that because I'm not going behind other men. That's disrespectful to me and my temple. When men start raising that bar, they will have no other choice but to raise the bar high, or they'll just be by themselves. And men got to be have that conversation, man, and not be afraid to have that conversation.
Man, you really somebody said you're cooking. You really are cooking, man. You really, really are cooking. That's what I want to get to is how men really take this power back. And you got to look at yourself and say, I'm going to set the bar high,
Right.
and you got to stick to it and hold to it, and make someone
gotta
deserve to be in your life. Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. Deserve to be in your life. I told you, man. My dad said my dad 82, and my mom was a virgin. But you know, my dad won't want. But let me tell you something, Doc. Most men don't. Women, listen. For religious reasons, there are some women that want a man to be a virgin. That's fine. But we know that women have a higher level of accessibility to sex than men do, and so most women, if that man is, let's say Dr. L, at this stage of your life, man, you're a silver fox, you make good money, you know, you work out, you're smart, you're intelligent. I don't know your personal past, I'm not trying to get into it, but let's say you had your share of women. If women know that you're attractive and other women want you, they're not going to care about your sexual past because a lot of women want men with sexual experience. But conversely, if a man said, I'm a virgin, he ain't had no experience, that's not going to be a high selling point for a man. And so, like Jen say, double standards, right? It's a double standard. It's double standards for both. Because a man can't be penetrated by another man, but a woman can be with another woman. That's a double standard. A woman can slap a man and think she should get away with it, but men are not allowed to do the same thing. A woman can stay home and also be a career woman, but most men are expected, even though this new generation is different, most men are expected to go out and provide. So it's double standards for both sexes. You know, there are double standards for men, there are double standards for women. And some double standards should be okay. A man should go out and work and provide for his family and put his life on the line for his woman. That's what men should do because that's what we were wired to do. But men and women are not the same, and men and women, we're different for a reason. And our women and American women have been compromised. And a lot of them, Dr. L, they sit home now, they sad, they got their doctorates on that wall. They got a glass of wine. They got a cat and a dildo, man. And they sing that song by they sing that song, Doc, by Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes. The whole world laughing at me, silly fool, because they got tricked by feminism. They thought, you know, having a doctorate was gonna make them happy. Man, that doctorate can't give you human satisfaction. That money in that house can't make you happy. It's not like the presence of a masculine man standing on business and guiding you to the promised land. It's nothing like it, man. And so my mission for the time God had me on this earth is to help restore traditional heteronormative masculinity. And for men to know what their worth is, to raise the bar, to raise the standard. And if the woman want to be in that man's life like our ancestors did, either you become what we want you to become, because once again, the feminine is being and the masculine is doing. Either you become what I need you to become, because I'm the gatekeeper to marriage, or you can be by yourself. And that's the conversation that men don't want to have because they think by default that they are the prize without becoming the prize for a man. And that's the problem.
Yeah, man, you're on a roll, brother. You're on a roll.
Right.
You talked about men who are, you know, kind of stay at home and the women are making more. Does that I mean, what have you dealt with that in your practice, and how does that challenge a man's masculinity? Because there's been some research that men who don't make as much money as their women have to go on, you know, get the blue pill in order to get their erections back, right? So I mean, have you dealt with that?
I haven't dealt with that directly per se about the man staying home while she works. I do remember a woman that told me one time. She said that something about men staying home while the woman, that would never be me. Could I stay home temporarily if my family was in a state of crisis? Yeah, but I'm a hunter by nature. I'm not going to be no kitchen cooking with no Betty Crocker apron on. I'm not going to be damn no daddy daycare. I'm not doing that. That's not my nature. I'm a hunter. I'm a lion. Could I do it temporarily for if I lost my job? Yeah, but that's not going to be my final say because I'm a man. I'm a man's man. And if she want a man that's going to do that, because see, watch this. In the end, she's not going to respect him. She's going to resent him. What I learned from women, man, women say one thing, but it really means something else. They say one thing while they're in the moment of how they feel, and they can be totally different, like on the back end. And she'll never really respect that man if he's staying home and she making the money, and he just staying home, being there with the kids and raising kids. I would never do that. That's beneath me as a man. And that's how old school men were. I'm from the old school, man. I would never subjugate myself to that. Because I think what it does, it greatly diminishes the man's sovereignty. I believe in male sovereignty, men having the right to live their lives out into perpetuity, to create their own ecosystem, to bring the women that want to be in their lives into their lives, and for that woman to get on that man's program, if she want to be, or more or less have his last name. If she don't want to have his last name, then she's free to go and live her life and do her own thing. And on top of that, she has to earn that man's last name. It's not given. You know, when we were kids growing up, Dr. L, we said word is bond. A man's name and his word meant everything, man. Am I right or wrong?
No, you 100 about that. 100. Your word is your bond. At
Your word is your
100.
bond, man. Your word meant everything, and so was your name. Did you know what theologians say that a good name is better than riches?
Yeah.
And so part of a man's pedigree was having a good name, his word, but also his legacy. Having that man's last name was important. And you got chicks now that they don't want to take the husband's last name, man. They want to put a hyphen in it, or they don't want to take his whole last name altogether. If you can't take my last name, you can't be my wife, sweetie.
There's a show, and listen, this is being pushed. There's a show. I really enjoy the show. I really do. It's called, it's on Netflix. It's called The Diplomat. Man, some good season-ending cliffhangers. They just wrapped up. Well, they just, Netflix drops all 3 seasons, or all seasons at one time, all episodes in a season at one time. But every single episode, not every episode, every single season, they did it less. This is season 3. They did it less in this particular season. But it's always the guy is introducing himself because his wife is the diplomat. She is the ambassador from the U.S. to England. And so the guy was introducing himself. Oh, no, don't talk to me. I'm the wife. I'm the wife. Like, and they kept doing it. And even this season, they did it again in season 3. So they did it a lot less, but it was still there that, introduce himself. Oh, you must be the wife. Talking to a dude because his wife is the diplomat.
Right.
And it's just like they keep pushing it. And this particular season, right? So there was a death. I don't want to give the whole story away, but I just want to kind of focus on this. The male president of the United States dies, the vice president then becomes president. So she is not a president. And her husband is actually struggling with quitting his job because he was like a biochemist or something like that. So he had something highfalutin. Now he's struggling in his role as the first man because he's used to being this hunter, this masculine dude.
Exactly.
So they kind of at least now they're emphasizing that there is an issue here with that. And they try to show them the first couple. They're trying to have some lovemaking session, and it was just awkward because she is in this masculine type of role because he's president of the United States and he's got to look up to her and all this kind of stuff. So just to kind of, piggyback on what you were saying there, right? Being hunters and this energy that is lost and this transfer of it's just a confusing dynamic now. I'm not saying women can't be president. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that there is a dynamic that has to go in there that has to be thought about and how men have to respond to that.
Well, it's something more sinister. I won't get into it because it's in the esoteric, but it's definitely something that's a lot more sinister on the horizon, and it's part of it's something sinister, and I will argue that it's by design, and it's highly pernicious, and also it's highly demonic. It's all by design. It's the inverse order of the divine order. The inverse order of the divine order is to pervert the image of God, man. And it's by design. These oligarchs, these people in high places, these people in these secret societies, man, it's all by design, man. And like I said, man, it's been proliferating, man, for the last 60 years, man. Black men have been the target of ridicule, disrespect. And I respect you highly, man, for speaking up for black men with that episode with the Dr. Chiaku chick, man. I respect you highly for that. because
Yeah.
I have reached out to her, tried to get. She blocked me too, man. So,
Yeah.
bless her heart, man. Bless her heart, bless her heart. But yeah, man. But anyway, I know you gotta go, man. This was good, man. We gotta do this again, dog. We gotta do this again.
Oh,
man.
definitely. I appreciate
Yeah.
it coming on, man.
Right.
You guys make sure you go over to Kosher Clinician's channel, give him a like, give him a sub. I appreciate it. We'll definitely do this again. I have another show on Sunday. I'm a guest on, I don't have the flyer yet. I want to say it's Manversations. I think it's Manversations. They covered the Dr. Chiaku fiasco too, so they want to talk about that.
Well, but listen, I weigh in by saying this, Dr. L. And don't ever forget this, brother. Even in your next relationships, you know, you from the North. Frederick Douglass once said, he said that power never conceded to nothing without a struggle, and never have and never will.
And it never will.
I'll leave you on that note, brother. You take care.
Yeah. You guys take care.
All right.
October just got here. You late, October. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you catch the replay. We'll see you guys again. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show.
All right.
Much love and peace.
All right. Be good, brother.